After seeing his village destroyed by Sauron's orcs, Kaliel has decided to travel north with you to Gondor. But it is a long road and you will need mounts to ride, so your Haradrim allies have led you into the great jungle of Harad in search of the mighty Mumakil. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Line Unbroken, my progression style playthrough series of the Lord of the Rings, the card game. I'm playing the first quest from the Haradrim cycle, the Mumakil. So, I did not take a mulligan on this hand. I figured foe hammer, hopefully I'll find a weapon to use with it soon enough. Also Daeron's runes, mostly just those things. I don't think there was anything in particular that I really wanted to start with from this deck, although Liquid Explorer is kind of nice. So mostly just having more draw to find everything. Here I did take a mulligan, mostly looking for Steward of Gondor, which I have found. So, setup. Set each copy of Wild Mumak and each capture objective aside out of play. Each player adds one different location to the staging area. Shuffle the encounter deck. So I'm going to get rid of these two locations and keep the remaining two, the dense jungle and the Mumak Trail, which, while it's the active location, it gains response when Mumak Trail leaves play as an explored location. Search the encounter deck and discard pile for a wild Mumak and add it to the staging area. Shuffle the encounter deck. Travel, raise each player's threat by 1 to travel here. The jungle is full of danger. The Haradrim warn you to stay alert, lest the hunters become the hunted. Forced, after the active location leaves play as an explored location, shuffle one set-aside Wild Mumak into the encounter deck. The players cannot advance unless the number of Wild Mumak in play is equal to the number of players. I'm just going to bring this up right now, at the start. This is poorly written, because it just says equal to the number of players. It should really say at least the number of players. But as written, because I have 2 players, if I end up with 3 Wild Mumaks in play, I would be unable to advance the quest and thus unable to win the quest, even though I hadn't lost yet. And that is really stupid. So, if I do end up with more than 2 Wild Mumaks in play before I advance, I'm going to treat it as acceptable that I can still advance the quest, because it seems totally illogical otherwise. So, Control N. Oh, I suppose worth noting, setup abilities are triggered automatically. Denethor had his 2 resources, and Eowyn, this deck lowered its threat by 3. Octagon does that for me. Remembering Círdan, I draw an additional card, and I think I'm going to keep the Elrond's Council. So Kaliel, of course, new from this pack. You may use resources from Kaliel's pool to pay for Harad ally cards of any sphere. Action, discard a Harad ally from your hand to ready a Harad character in play. Limit once per phase. And what did this deck draw? Bow, okay. So I'm definitely going to play Steward of Gondor onto Kaliel immediately. Obviously that's a big part of the plan here. I want to keep a resource for a possible test of will. So, well, all 3 of my heroes are noble, so one way or another I can play the Envoy of Pelagir and get a resource back, so I effectively only lose 1 resource. Unless I really wanted to send a resource over to Eowyn, but I don't think I'm particularly bothered. These two obviously are not noble, so they couldn't get it. I'm going to play the Bow of the Galadrim onto Haldir, and yeah, actually I guess I should play Daron's Runes. Okay, going to discard the Long Defeat. I was hoping for a Master of the Forge, which actually thinking about it, that is potentially the mulligan card. And I possibly should have mulliganed for it, but this is still decent. Now, I think I may want to save and get in the Mirkwood Explorer rather than anything else. Though I could play the Minstrel, possibly find more card draw with it. So there's currently 4 threat in the staging area. I'm going to be questing for 2, 3, 7, 11. I'll just go with this for now. Okay, Territorial 8 gets plus X threat and plus X attack, where X is the threat of the active location. And Giant Centipede. After it damages a character, treat that character's text box as if it were blank until the end of the round, except for traits. Okay, so this has added 5 threat to the staging area. I'm going to exhaust Argalad, targeting the Territorial Ape, reducing its threat by 2 to 0, so it takes a point of damage. So I make 4 progress. That's fine. I'm going to travel to the dense jungle. This is a nice change of pace from my testing games where I just revealed basically all the locations in the encounter deck before I got any enemies at all. So yeah, I'm going to actually defend the Giant Centipede. +1 attack, so that does deal 1 damage, which means Denethor's text box is considered blank until the end of the round, but I really don't care about Denethor's text box. And now Haldir can use his ability to attack into the staging area for 5, killing the Territorial Ape, so I don't have to deal with the extra threat it's getting from the active location, and I can use Foehammer to draw another 3 cards. Okay. Oh, the ape is dead. So Control N, new round. The extra draw for Círdan is Unexpected Courage. Do obviously have, I think I only have 2 copies of Naya, so, but it, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to discard the Unexpected Courage. Okay, so now, I know last round I said I wanted to save for the Explorer, but that was partly based on my previous experiences of getting flooded by locations. Now the locations are pretty fine, so I think I want to try and improve my draw a bit. So Minstrel, and there are no events in the top 5 cards. Next card was a Master of the Forge, which is what I really want. That's very frustrating. Actually, I suppose I could put an Elf Stone on this dense jungle and bring in the Explorer that way. They're intended more for this deck with the expensive Harad allies, but I can already afford to play Jubaya right now. So, yeah, let's do that. Elfstone on the dense jungle. Second both the Galadrim onto Haldir. And that's fine. I can use so the text box blanking is only until the end of the round, so I can transfer Denethal's resource to Carliel now. And pay 5 for Jubaya. Sentinel, and after he exhausts to defend an attack, discard one face down shadow card from a non-unique enemy limit once per phase. Okay, there is only 2 threat in the staging area. So let's see, I'm definitely questing for 5, 9. I suppose I do definitely want to explore the location, which is +1 quest point. So that would be 6, and then I need a buffer. So what was I up to? 4, 8, 9. Yeah, okay, I'll just stick with standard 12. Actually, yeah, I was thinking, oh, I don't want to advance yet, but I can't advance until I get my wild Mumaks. So, reveal forest clearing and another Mumak trail. So that's added 5 threat to the staging area. So I'm making 5 progress, which is fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, when Dead's Jungle is explored, discard the... after the active location leaves play. So I think when it's explored is before, after it leaves play. Different phrasing, explored and leaves play as an explored location, but when is before, after, regardless. So, when it's explored, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If that card is a location, add it to the staging area. And after it leaves play, shuffle a set aside wild Mumak into the encounter deck. And after the location is explored, first player puts 1 ally into play from their hand. Liquid Explorer. So yeah, I have found this jungle trail. Now, yeah, I think I'd rather just get rid of it as quickly as possible. So I'm going to travel here, revealing the top card of the encounter deck. Strangling Python, which surges into Stampeding Oliphaunt, doomed 1. When revealed, choose a wild Mumak in the staging area to attack the first player. If no attacks are made this way, search the encounter deck and discard a pile for a Mumak trail and add it to the staging area. Shuffle the encounter deck. So I can probably deal with the extra Mumak trail, though I could just cancel this to reduce the excessive amount of threat I'm getting in the staging area. At the moment, 2, 4, 7. This will not stay in the staging area. And I do have 2 tests of will, so yeah, I think I'm going to just cancel that. Now I engage the Strangling Python here. Haldir will use his ability to kill the Python before it can attack. Jubaya will defend against the Centipede, discarding the Shadow card. And then I can attack for 3, which is enough to kill the Centipede. Control N. Yazan adds Steward of Gondor. I will discard Steward of Gondor. This deck has found a Dagger of Westerness. Alright, exhaust the Steward and play Yazan. After he is declared as an attacker, deal 1 damage to a non-unique enemy in play, limit once per phase. And guess that's it. I'll transfer Denethor's resource to Kaliel. Okay, I do want a Warden of Healing in play, so let's just do that now. And I could play this Dagger of Westerness, or I could save for a possible feint. I shouldn't need the feint, but well, actually no, I think it is worth putting the Dagger of Westerness onto Argalad, because increasing his attack increases the utility of his ability as well as making him a better attacker. So, 7 threat in the staging area, questing of 2, 6, 7, 11, 14, I think this should be fine. I could send Yazan, but I think this should be fine. Forest Clearing and a Territorial Ape, which gets plus... Oh, in fact the threat in the staging area is less because the Jungle Trail, while it's active, reduces the threat of the locations in the staging area. But the Territorial Ape does get plus 4 threat from the Jungle Trail. So in fact I have 1, 2, 4, 6, 12 threat in the staging area. I guess I will exhaust Argalad to reduce the Territorial Ape's threat by 3, which does not reduce it to 0 because of course it's getting the plus 4. But that means that I can still hold on to my Elrond's councils, and I still make enough progress to clear the Jungle Trail. And I shuffle another Wild Mumak into the encounter deck. Oh, and I quested successfully, so the Mirkwood Explorer gets progress. I'm going to travel to the Forest Clearing. I don't have to engage the Territorial Ape, so I'll just leave it, and Haldir can use his combat action to kill it in the staging area, since he now attacks for 7 against enemies not engaged with him. Warden can heal up Denethor. Control N. Test of Will and double back. Test of Will is too good, even if I would like to have the threat reduction as an option. I don't know, actually no, I'm gonna keep double back and actually discard the Test of Will, which means this Test of Will is something I'm probably going to hold on to for some time, but it's fine. Okay, so now I'm definitely holding back my tactics resources. I'm going to play Halfling Bounder. His ability will not... Oh yeah, of course, that's a thing. I also don't have to be too worried about cancellation, because the Halfling Bounder, as soon as I explore double back, will do that. Now, I'm not going to do double back this round, because I would like to put this long defeat on it. And obviously I can't do that yet because this deck is first player and finishes planning before this deck starts and can play double back. I could play Naya. But it's not that big a deal. So let's just transfer that resource. And quest 2, 6, 7, 11, 15 against, it is now 7. To the main quest, revealing a wild Mumak. Did shuffle after adding Mumak, didn't I? Yep. Okay, so the wild Mumak, which is indestructible, immune to player card effects, cannot take more than 3 damage each round, and forced at the end of the round, the engaged player must choose either return Wild Mumak to the staging area or it makes an immediate attack. And also, the Savage South. Each player discards the top 5 cards of their deck. Each player discards each card they control that shares a title with any of the 5 cards they just discarded. This is the thing that I want to cancel. There are obviously ways of building your deck around that effect. Like if you build a deck where you don't have more than 1 copy of any card, then you can't lose anything from it. One thing you can do is play attachments cross-table, because you only discard cards which you control that share a title with a card you just discarded. So if this deck plays a Gondorian Shield onto Denethor and then discards a Gondorian Shield to the Savage South, the shield on Denethor is safe because this deck doesn't control it. But in general, it's a lot easier to just cancel it and not risk, say, losing Jubair or Yazan. So, I've added 3 threat to the staging area. I make 5 progress. And when Forest Clearing is explored, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If that card is an enemy, add that enemy to the staging area. It is not an enemy, and I'm very happy not to see that side quest. I also shuffled the Wild Mumak into the encounter deck, and I'll go to another Forest Clearing. I do not want to engage this Wild Mumak because I really can't defend it. Local Explorer has an extra point of progress on him. Actually, given that I could go to a Mumak trail, this doesn't reveal additional cards, does it? No. So, yeah, it's certainly an option. Yeah, I guess I'm going to travel to a Mumak trail, increasing each player's threat by 1. And that's going to be it for the round. Control N. Send for aid. Oh, and Khalil's headdress. I'm going to keep send for aid. play Send for Aid. And I'm going to put the long defeat on Send for Aid, in fact. And then I guess I'll play second Halfling Bounder. I'm going to exhaust the Mirkwood Explorer to move all progress from him onto the Forest Clearing. So the forced effect applies even if the Forest Clearing is not the active location. So discard the top card of the encounter deck. It is an enemy. Okay. So the threat in the staging area is 9. Questing for 2, 6, 7, 10, 14, 10. The odds on that are not great. Well, certainly the odds of me exploring Send for Aid in particular are not great. But I may as well try it. So I'm going to say Send for Aid. Overgrown Surge, attached to the highest threat location in the staging area without a copy of Overgrown attached. Attached location gets +1 threat and immune to player card effects. Surges into Terrible Fever. Remove a hero from the quest and attach Terrible Fever to that hero. Counts as a condition attached with the text forced at the end of the round. Deal 1 damage to attached character. That's not such a big deal. Put it on Carlyle since he is the lowest willpower. And Biting Insects. Each player discards a random card from their hand and assigns X damage among characters they control. X is the discarded card's cost. 0. And, well, it's going to be 1 because they're all the same card. So I'll put 1 damage here and no damage here. That was an incredibly gentle staging. I added 1 threat to the staging area and removed 2 willpower from the quest. So I'm making 2 progress, which obviously is not enough to even explore the location. I'm not hugely bothered about that, though. Well, yeah, I suppose it is still best to use Algalad on the Territorial Ape. Can't use him on the Wild Mumak because it's immune to player card effects. Drop the staging threat by 3, so I make 5 progress. I suppose if I'd gone for double back instead, then... Well, no, I only have 1 Elrond's Council now, not 2. So I still couldn't have done it. And I'm not going to trigger the response to search the encounter deck and discard pile for a Wild Mumak and add it to the staging area. But I do now shuffle the final Wild Mumak into the encounter deck. And yeah, I feel no particular need to travel to this Mumak trail. I'm going to not travel, engage the Territorial Ape, deal it to Shadow card, and then Haldir can kill it. Use the Warden to heal the Mirkwood Explorer. At the end of the round, Carlyle will take a point of damage from Terrible Fever. Control N. And second draw is Light of Valinor, but as good as it is, I want to get my full set of Harad allies into play. And okay, gather information. I will play that. Over here, I will play Firial. And yeah, I guess that's it. So still going to send for aid. There is 6 threat in the staging area. Questing 2, 6, 7, 10, 14, 19, and Firial allows me to look at the top card of the encounter deck and discard it if I want. Jungle Trail. It's 4 threat. I need to make 4 progress. So honestly, I might be okay with Jungle Trail. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm okay with that. So I reveal the Jungle Trail and Forest Clearing, so that's added 7 threat to the staging area. I make 6 progress, which is enough to explore Send for Aid. And the long trigger the long defeat. Send for Aid first, I think. Yeah, this is when, and this is after. So when it's defeated, I trigger Send for Aid. Top 10 cards. Okay, so I mean, obviously I was originally thinking of Firial, but I drew and played her. I could just do Gandalf. I'd get his enter's playability, but I wouldn't get anything. Well, actually, I could get something else out of him. Yeah, I was thinking possibly Arwen as well, but no, I'm going to take Gandalf. And shuffle my deck and trigger his enter play effect to draw 3 cards. Okay. And this deck triggers Send for Aid, looking at the top 10 cards. And I'm taking the Master of the Forge. And then after that, we trigger the long defeat, which each player either draws 2 cards or heals up to 5 damage from among characters they control, so each deck is going to draw 2 cards. Guarded ceaselessly and a Warden of Healing, and over here, Warden's Council and a Sneak Attack, or another Sneak Attack rather. I do of course have 2 more Gandalfs in my deck, so this is fine. I will also exhaust the Master of the Forge. And do I want the Raiment of War or the Gondorian Shield? Obviously the Raiment of War is for Jubaya, the Gondorian Shield is for Denethor. They are both potentially very useful. Gondorian Shield gives more defense, but the Raiment of War, well, Jubaya is potentially more secure as a defender because of his ability to discard shadow cards. So I guess I'll take the Raiment. Shuffle my deck. I did quest successfully. So I get a progress on this Mirkwood Explorer. And of course, my Halfling Bounders are now working. So Jungle Trail, I would have to reveal another card. whereas forest clearing I think should be fine. And I'm going to engage this wild Mumak. Deal it a shadow card and defend it with Gandalf. Discard a random card from your hand and assign X damage among characters you control. Okay. Random discard. Sneak attack. So 1, I will put the 1 damage on Gandalf. He takes 2 damage from the attack, so he survives for all good that does. I can heal up Carliel and I suppose Gandalf. And now, can't take more than 3 damage each round, so I just need to attack for 6. Haldir can attack for 7. And I've started getting some damage on this Mumak. And of course, at the end of the round, the engaged player must choose either return Wild Mumak to the staging area or it makes an immediate attack. I will return it to the staging area. That, under these circumstances, is actually a benefit for me, because it allowed me to engage it and start doing a bit of damage to it without being stuck with it moving forwards. So Control N, and Carliel's headdress is not crucial. It's a little bit of extra willpower and the ability to shuffle Herald allies from my discard pile back into my deck is theoretically useful because I can bring them back and then discard them with Carliel's ability for readying. But having access to Sneak Attack Gandalf is really good. Over here I've found a Foe Hammer, Master of the Forge. Okay, so this time I'm grabbing the Gondorian Shield. Okay, and now what am I doing? It's just 1, 2, 3 for Galadriel. Top 5 cards of my deck, so I can put this Unexpected Courage into play. I guess I will put it on Denethor. And then I can stack these other cards however I feel like. So I'm going to put the Prepare for Battles first and then Galadriel. Oh, unless if I'm planning to sneak attack Gandalf, then I could just draw 3, and I'd want these 3, and then leave the second Prepare for Battle at the bottom. That's probably a decent idea. So I'll set it up like that. Suppose I may as well play Naya, and actually I should pay for it from Carliel's resources. Over here, Gondorian Shield onto Denethor, and Raiment of War onto Jubaya. Play a second Warden of Healing. I could just put this guarded ceaselessly on the Jungle Trail. That's an option. I'm going to do that. And okay, so threat in the staging area is 3, 7, 10. I can quest quite easily for 2, 5, 9, 10, 13, 18, 22. I'm thinking I just go to the main quest at this point. That seems like a decent idea. So, revealing Harad Tiger cannot be optionally engaged, and after it attacks and destroys a character, return it to the staging area. And a dense jungle. Okay. So that's added 6 threat to the staging area. I make 6 progress. So I can advance as soon as I have enough Mumaks in play. And when forest clearing is explored, discard the top card of the encounter deck. It is not an enemy. So, quested successfully. Now is when a Mumak trail could come in handy, because I need to get a second Mumak to advance the quest. So let's travel to this Mumak trail, this overgrown Mumak trail. Attack raises the threat by 1. And I am going to optionally engage the Wild Mumak again. Harad Tiger cannot be optionally engaged, but will engage here anyway. So now I sneak attack Gandalf, drawing 3 cards. Gandalf defends against the Mumak. He takes 2 damage. Jubaya defends against the Harad Tiger, discarding the shadow card. He has 4 defense with the Raiment of War, so he takes no damage. I can heal up. Now it takes 8 to deal with the Tiger, and I need 6 for Mumak. Well, Arglad is effectively 4, 7, and Yazan's ability, after he's declared as an attacker, deal 1 damage to a non-unique enemy in play. Allows Haldir to kill the tiger by himself, though Denethor obviously could have equally supplied the additional 1 attack needed. Once again, at the end of the round, Gandalf is back in my hand. At the end of the round, the Mumak will go back to the staging area. Khalil takes a point of damage. Galadriel is discarded. Control N. And I'm discarding Prepare for Battle. And here, found a deck. Oh! Yes, Haldir was the one who killed the tiger. I should have played Foehammer, but I was not looking at this deck's hand. So I would have drawn these 3 cards. And then Master of the Forge. Okay. Elfstone would not work on this Mumak trail because it's immune to player card effects because of the Overgrown. So I guess I'll take the Dagger of Westerness. I might just save my resources for the Faints, to be honest. I'm going to play the second Mirkwood Explorer. Over here, pay 3 for Galadriel, and well. Naya is already in play, so I can't benefit from that, but I can stack my deck. Obviously Naya is a good thing to discard with Kyodan. The Errand Rider could be handy, but Arwen would also be really good. So let's have something like that. I'm also going to play Prepare for Battle. Limit one copy in the victory display. While it's in the victory display, the first player draws an additional card during the resource phase. Oh, actually thinking about it, I will put a second Dagger of Westerness onto Argalad, because now I can also play this Envoy of Pelagir and add a resource back to Eowyn, so she can still afford both feints if I need them. Could hardcast Gandalf, but I'm not sure that this is the right time for that. There is 9 threat in the staging area. I'm questing to prepare for battle. 3, 5, 9, 11, 14, 18, 25, 'Okay, and we reveal Overgrown. So yeah, this is annoying, but Surge and attaches to the highest threat location in the staging area without a copy of Overgrown attached. Unfortunately, that is this Jungle Trail, and making it immune to player card effects will remove Guarded Ceaselessly, which is a shame, because I kind of like that card. I would like it to actually be useful, but never mind. Surges into Dense Jungle, and Strangling Python surges into Giant Centipede. Okay, so that's added 1, 3, 4, 7 threat to the staging area. So I make 9 progress, which is exactly what I needed. So, when Mumak Trail leaves players in explored locations, search the encounter deck and discard pile for Wild Mumak and add it to the staging area. Shuffle the encounter deck. I'm going to do that this time. Okay, there are 2 cards left in the encounter deck. Neither of them is a Wild Mumak. Shadow effects. Attacking enemy gets +1/+2 if a location was explored this round, which it was. So something will get +2 attack. And going to discard pile, grab a Wild Mumak, which means I now have 2 Wild Mumaks in play, which is equal to the 2 players that I have, and I have enough progress on this quest, so I advance. You've tracked the Mumakil through miles of dense jungle and battled with the creatures that dwell therein. But now comes the hard part. You must actually capture the Oliphants alive. When revealed, starting with the first player, each player attaches 1 random set-aside capture objective to a Wild Mumak in play. So, random number 1 to 4. 4. Noose of Vines. And random number 1 to 3. 2. Poisoned Spear. Forced at the beginning of the quest phase, if there is no active location, reveal an additional encounter card this phase. This stage cannot be defeated while there are any capture objectives in play. If the players defeat this stage, they win the game. So the capture... Okay, yes. So I also explored Prepare for Battle. So I'll just... That doesn't do anything yet anyway. So the capture objectives, I'll look at the two which I didn't get first. The Horsehair Lasso. Response: after the attached enemy is dealt any amount of damage, the engaged player shuffles their deck and discards the top card. If the discarded card's cost is equal to or greater than the attached enemy's remaining hit points, add Horsehair Lasso and attached enemy to the victory display. It's potentially really good with, obviously, high cost cards like the Harad allies and Gandalf. Pit Trap. After the players travel to a location, if that location's printed threat is equal to or greater than the attached enemy's remaining hit points, the engaged player adds Pit Trap and attached enemy to the victory display. Then we have the Poison Spear. After the player's quest successfully, if the player engaged with the attached enemy discards... After the player's quest successfully, the player engaged with the attached enemy discards the top card of the encounter deck. If the discarded card's threat is equal to or greater than the attached enemy's remaining hit points, add Poison Spear and attached enemy to the victory display. And the Noose of Vines. After a character defends an attack against the attached enemy, if the defending character has more remaining hit points than the attached enemy, add Noose of Vines and attached enemy to the victory display. So... Okay. Given this forced effect, these two each got a progress. Given this forced effect, I don't want to. I definitely want to travel. I think I would prefer to avoid revealing an additional card for the jungle trail, so I'm just going to go to the dense jungle. Now, as it stands, I have to engage the Mumax. I'm not sure that I want to engage both of them, so I'm going to play one copy of Elrond's Council. And then I'm going to engage this Mumak. Outside of that, I can't avoid this deck getting engaged, unfortunately, so Aldir's ability is switched off, but it's fine. And of course, no shadow card for the Strangling Python. So, okay, Jubaya will defend against the Giant Centipede, but he will trigger his ability to discard the shadow card from the Wild Mumak. Then this is no shadow effect. Denethor will defend against the Mumak. He takes a point of damage. He will also defend against the Python. He does not take damage. So, well, there are multiple ways I could do this. I heal up Denethor and Khalil. Argalad can kill the Python. Oh no, he can't kill the Python by himself, but Yazan can kill the Centipede and deal the additional point of damage to the Python. So technically now the encounter discard pile is in the wrong order. And yeah, okay, so technically I've done this out of sequence. Argalad attacked the Python, He is 4 attack, which no, he could kill the python by himself. Haldir attacks for 7 against the Mumak and deals the maximum 3 damage that it can take each round. Yazan attacked for 3 and killed the centipede. Okay. And then yeah, that's fine. At the end of the round, I'm going to send this Mumak back to the staging area. Khalil takes a point of damage from his terrible fever, and Galadriel is discarded. Control N. This deck is first player, and Prepare for Battle is in the victory display, so I draw an additional card and another additional card for Círdan. I will discard Naya. Over here, Master of the Forge. Yeah, okay. Grab the elf stone. So I play an Errand Rider. Play Arwen. And for the moment I leave it at that. Just going to play a second Master of the Forge and go digging for more attachments. Gondor and Shield, why not? So, okay, at the beginning of the quest phase, oh, right, yes, sorry, and I also play the Elfstone. That was kind of important. And actually, while I'm at it, I will play this Dagger of Westerness onto Khalil. So yes, at the beginning of the quest phase, if there is no active location, reveal an additional encounter card this phase. There is an active location. Now we are past the beginning of the quest phase, there is an action window. I exhaust the Mirkwood Explorer. I exhaust both Mirkwood Explorers to move all progress from them to a location in play, choosing the active location, the Dense Jungle, which has +1 quest point from the Elfstone. And I put into play Gandalf. For Gandalf's enters play ability, it doesn't really matter that much. I'm just going to draw more cards. So, yeah, there is 7, 10, 13 threat in the staging area. Arwen is going to target Jubaya. So questing for 2, 4, 6, 9, 13, 16, 20, 22, 'Yeah, I'm going to quest to double back. And probably sent Gandalf as well to be sure. I do only need 4 progress. I'll send Gandalf. So, reveal, and with Ferial we see a jungle trail. It's fine. Jungle trail and stampeding olive fawn. Doomed one, choose a wild. Okay. Yes, I'm okay with this. So, doomed one. Choose a wild Mumak in the staging area to attack the first player. I choose this one. So I defend with Jubaya, who is boosted by Arwen and also the Raiment of War, so he is 5 defense. And after he exhausts to defend an attack, discard 1 face down shadow card from a non-unique enemy. Wild Mumaks are of course non-unique, because there are 4 of them. So 6 attack against 5 defense. Jubaya takes 1 damage. The Raiment of War gives him 2 additional hit points, so he is now gone from 5 hit points to 4 hit points. The Noose of Vines. After a character defends an attack against the attached enemy, if the defending character has more remaining hit points than the attached enemy, add Noose of Vines and attached enemy to the victory display. The Wild Mumak has 3 hit points remaining and Jubaya has 4. I was planning, obviously, to do that in the combat phase, but this is fine. So, that's my staging. I added 4 threat to the staging area, but also removed 3. So I make 12 progress. I explore double back. And each deck reduces that threat by 5. I travel to the dense jungle. And I engage this wild Mumak. I defend it with Denethor, still managing to avoid this side quest, which can be very annoying. I'll just read it now since we're clearly not seeing it actually enter play. Each location gets +1 threat. Forced when Guardians of the Jungle becomes the current quest, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a territorial ape and put it into play engaged with the first player. So it's something, at least the fact that it's put into the ape is put into play engaged with the first player means you don't have to deal with the extra threat that the territorial ape gets from the active location, which itself is +1 threat. But on the other hand, it will get the attack boost, and in general, especially when, as mentioned, while testing these decks, I revealed a lot of locations. So I had a lot of locations in play, and then I got this side quest, so it was adding 5 or 6 threat to the staging area until I could deal with it, which was made harder by the extra threat. As a shadow card, though, it's nothing. I'm going to send a resource over to Haldir, and Haldir can do the maximum 3 damage to the wild Mumak. I will heal everyone who can be healed. And okay, so at this point I'm actually going to do this properly. Control R. I forgot to discard the shadow card apparently. So now we are in the refresh phase. So strict, hang on. One of these was, oh. Hang on. One of these was active when, at the start of the quest phase, it was what I explored with the Mirkwood Explorers. I got caught up in the Elfstone, but in fact, when it was explored, I would have discarded this jungle trail, which would have been put into play. So then I would in fact have this Mumak trail. Oh yeah, that was the shadow card from Stampeding Oliphants. So yes, I would have revealed Stampeding Oliphants, resolved it with this as the shadow card, discarded, and then this should have been the second card of staging, which would have been a couple more points of threat. I still would have explored double back, but then the Mumak would have had a different shadow card with still no effect, so everything is now fine and correct. Now, proper order of operations. Gandalf being discarded at the end of the round is a passive effect. It happens before any forced effects, unfortunately. Forced, at the end of the round, the engaged player must choose. I will be taking the immediate attack because the Mumak needs to be engaged for me to trigger the poisoned spear. So I defend with Denethor again. Attacking enemy gets +1 attack. So 7 attack. Denethor takes 2 damage. Maybe I should have done Jubaya. And Khalil takes 1 damage from the Terrible Fever. And now we move into new round. Control N. Drawing an additional card for Círdan. Discard Gather Information. This deck draws an additional card for Prepare for Battle. Okay, so Deep Knowledge would have been kind of nice much earlier in the game. Right now it's, I don't care. I'll play the Minstrel and grab Daron's Runes. See, maybe I should have just grabbed Behind Strong Walls. But then I'll draw 2 and discard Deep Knowledge. I really should have just grabbed Behind Strong Walls, but never mind. Send another resource over to Haldir with the Errand Rider. Play another Minstrel. Oh, actually no, hang on. I'll trigger my 2 Masters of the Forge first, and then play the Minstrel. So, grab Raymond of War, and grab Raiment of War, then shuffle, and then look at the top 5 cards for the Minstrel and take Behind Strong Walls. Okay. Guess, like, just in case something crazy happens, I'll put a Gondorian shield onto Khalil. Over here, Unexpected Courage goes on Haldir. Errand Rider. Oh yeah, I guess I'll also play Guarded Ceaselessly onto the jungle trail that is not overgrown. And yeah, okay. I guess that's it. Actually, no, hang on. I'll play the Unexpected Courage onto Círdan. So, I'm questing to the main quest. All locations are +1 threat from the Guardians of the Jungle side quest. So there is 11 threat in the staging area. Questing 4, 6, 8, 10, targeting Jubair again, 13, 17, 26, and revealing, well, Ferial shows me this Strangling Python, so obviously I will discard it because it surges. Wild Mumak and Forest Clearing. So that's added 6 threat to the staging area. I am currently making 9 progress. I need a bit more than that. Play Elrond's Council. Drop threat by 3, increase willpower by 1. So that would be 10 progress, still not enough, I need 1 more. Arglad will exhaust, not targeting the Wild Mumak because he can't, because it's immune to player card effects, but instead using the ability Unguarded Ceaselessly. Oh yeah, this +1 threat as well. Using the ability Unguarded Ceaselessly, exhaust a ranger or scout character to give attached location -2 threat until the end of the phase. So that reduces the threat in the staging area by 2. And now I'm making 11 progress, which as it happens is exactly what I need. Firstly, I have quested successfully, so I discard the top card of the encounter deck. If the discarded card's threat is equal to or greater than the attached enemy is equal to counts, so 3 remaining hit points, 3, and this was discarded, not put into play. So actually I should check here. Yeah, right, for the Noose of Vines you have to have more remaining hit points, but for that it's equal to or greater than. So then I actually place my progress. 3 goes here. I guess technically I resolve this forced effect. That's not a location. But yes, 3 progress there. 8 more here. Before quest resolution. I'll do my healing. So I have enough progress, and there are no capture objectives in play. These are still out of play. So I have won the game. There we go. Obviously, as it turned out, I was able to get exactly the right number of Mumaks into play to advance, though I still think it definitely should be at least equal to or greater than the number of players. Though obviously, I mean, even then, it would obviously be an extra challenge to have to capture additional Mumaks. Yep, side quest, potentially very punishing, but as it happens, it turned up at the very end of the game. Harad allies, very powerful. Nice that Guarded Ceaselessly actually was useful one time at the end there. And yeah, that's the Mumakil. I guess it's also important to note that nothing changes when you advance to stage 2, except for this forced effect, but usually you want to travel anyway, and the fact that the capture objectives are in play. So this is unusually, a lot of quests you want to stall potentially on an earlier quest stage until you're ready. You know, you can imagine the structure of a lot of quests, if it were applied to this, would be that you'd go slowly on stage 1 and then advance to stage 2, and that would be when you would have to deal with the wild Mumaks. But in fact, that's not the case. You can deal with the wild Mumaks at any point. You don't have to at any point unless your threat reaches 40. But being on stage 2 means you can actually capture them rather than them just sticking around stacking up damage. So there's no real incentive to stall. On the other hand, it's also worth noting that, as I did, you can potentially, if you can engage a Mumak early, then you can benefit from that. You can deal damage before you actually get the capture objectives, because you'll know you're going to need that damage. And especially in a setup like this, where this deck doesn't want to engage enemies generally, Haldir is much more powerful at range. It's handy to be able to, yeah, because I have the one really big attacker in Haldir, so Haldir can do the maximum possible damage to a Mumak, but he can only do it to one Mumak at a time. So for that reason, it's potentially useful to start damaging a Mumak early before you have the other Mumak at all, and it can save time later without needing to take additional attacks from them. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.